Nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo is gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast one of you Uncle Tom is for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it first?
But part of that is starting off with Snoop Dogg and Nelly and Soulja Boy and others for their decisions to perform at events surrounding the inauguration.
It amazes me that to convince black people that Donald cares about them, he takes pictures with celebrities. It's amazing to me. If Donald cared about black people, he wouldn't have denigrated the president with those claims of...
Dogg is one of those legends who barely needs an introduction. Since the early 90s, his name has been stamped across rap, TV, movies, commercials, even cooking shows with Martha Stewart. For decades, Snoop has been untouchable, respected by the streets and embraced by the mainstream. But right now, his legacy is facing one of its loudest shakeups yet. And the smoke? It's coming straight from comedian and radio host D.L. Hughley. Hughley isn't just tossing casual shade either. He's outright accusing Snoop of being a rat, a man working with the feds. And in hip-hop culture, that's one of the dirtiest labels you can throw at somebody. The thing about Hughley is he doesn't whisper or sugarcoat his opinions. He blasts them out in full view. That's why this cut lands so deep, because Snoop ain't just any rapper. He's a cultural icon who built his image on loyalty, authenticity, and living by the code. So when Hughley comes out swinging with those kinds of claims, the world can't just scroll past it. They stop. They pay attention. Because if someone as bulletproof as Snoop Dogg can get painted with that brush...
Playing to win tonight, man. You sharp as a mosquito going down. That's that crypto, see? They let a real crip up in the crypto ball. Ooh. Bang, bang.
1, 2, 3 into the phone. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the...
What does it mean for everything he's built? What does it mean for the entire legacy he's been writing for 30 years? And here's the kicker. The drama didn't just appear out of thin air. It all sparked when Snoop hit the stage at Donald Trump's crypto ball during inauguration weekend. Now, forget politics for a second. Trump is one of the most polarizing names on the planet. What made this whole thing crazier is the fact that Snoop had spent years clowning him, mocking him in interviews, roasting him on stage, even building entire bits around Trump being the punchline. He once joked, "Who's gonna be the first Uncle Tom to perform for Trump? I'll roast you the second you do." Snoop even went as far as saying, "Donald wants to run for president and push into the White House? Why not? It wouldn't be the first time you kicked a black family out their home." So when fans suddenly saw Snoop smiling on stage at an event tied to Trump, the internet went into full-blown meltdown. To a lot of people, it felt like a straight-up flip-flop. Like the same man who made a career out of keeping it real had just sold out for a bag. Twitter dragged him nonstop. TikTok turned it into a meme factory, and Instagram comment sections were on fire with people calling him out. The contradiction was too loud to ignore. And right in the middle of all that chaos, Snoop fired back. He didn't fold. He didn't apologize. Instead, he doubled down. He told people the outrage wasn't even about Trump. It was about something deeper. According to him, the real problem was the black community always tearing each other down instead of lifting each other up. That's the angle Snoop ran with, putting the focus back on unity.
Has responded to the backlash he received for performing for a Trump event. One of the things he pointed out was that we always stick together. We're good at tearing each other apart, which is pretty constant. It's pretty consistent when somebody gets into trouble. It takes backlash from the community. It's always a communal thing. It isn't any action they took. It is the fact that we can't stay together, that we can't stick together, that it's us always attacking us. But that flies in the face of the reality of what's happening right now. It is not us who are tearing down affirmative action. It is not us who is tearing down DEI. It is not us who are tearing families apart. It is not us who have decided that affirmative action and rollbacks that have been that had precedent for 50, 60 years are gone. It is not us that is doing it. It is. I think most people are disappointed because they saw you a specific way, and you have a right to kind of interpret and do whatever artistically you want to. No one's begrudging you that. But why the attack on the community because they disagree with something you did?
Nah, chill. I'm not performing. I am in Washington, D.C. right now, but I'm not performing. It's a private vibe I'm doing with my brother Snoop Dogg.
But I am honored to be performing for the office, for the President of the United States, regardless. Ain't man another president asked me to perform. name.
While the internet kept replaying the same question, was this about principle or just a paycheck? In Snoop's eyes, people should have been applauding him for securing the bag, not tearing him down for it. But that's when D.L. Hughley stepped in, and he wasn't letting it slide. He clapped back sharp, accusing Snoop of dodging accountability. D.L. fired off with, "Don't flip this on the black community. Don't blame us for calling you out." He made it clear Snoop knew exactly what he was doing when he took that stage. No confusion, no accidents. D.L.'s words hit like a blade. You can't clown Trump for years, then perform for him like it never mattered. That's not hate, that's hypocrisy. And then D.L. dropped the nuke that shook the culture. He called Snoop out for acting like a Fed rat. That word carries poison because in street culture, it's the lowest label you can get. It means betrayal. It means working with the very system you claim to resist. It means selling out your own people just to stay safe or climb higher. For D.L. to tag Snoop with that, he wasn't just calling him fake, he was calling him dangerous. Think how wild that sounds when stacked against Snoop's whole brand. For decades, he was a rebel from Long Beach, spitting about cops, survival, and the system. He wasn't just part of hip-hop, he was hip-hop. That's why D.L.'s words cut so deep. They hit at the heart of Snoop's legacy. If D.L.'s right, if Snoop really aligned with the same powers he once fought, then his whole image is cracked. Fans are asking brutal questions. Did Snoop switch up? Did he sell out? Did Hollywood soften him up and make him forget the streets that raised him? These aren't small doubts. They cut straight to the identity Snoop's built for 30 years. And D.L. didn't just float those questions. He twisted the knife. He said flat out, you can't play both sides. You can't claim to be for the people while cozying up to the same figure you once told the world was poison for the people. D.L. framed it like Snoop was rewriting the script, trying to spin backlash into hate instead of accountability. That's why the Fed rat label hit so hard. It painted him as sneaky, self-serving, ducking responsibility while flashing smiles to the cameras. The internet wasted no time running with it. Memes flooded timelines calling him Snoop the Federation. Side-by-side clips popped up, old interviews of Snoop clowning Trump stitched against new footage of him grinning at the crypto ball. TikTok mashed D.L.'s words over Snoop's commercials, mocking the evolution from West Coast outlaw to polished corporate mascot. The fan base split in two camps. Some defended Snoop, saying, he's a businessman now, he's evolved, let him move how he wants. But others rode with D.L., saying, nah, that's a sellout move. You can't preach one thing for years and then flip once the check clears. The debate became a cultural divide, two sides yelling their truth. And the weight of it all? It's bigger than Snoop. He isn't just a rapper. He's the face networks call when they need hip-hop to look friendly. He's been the ambassador to the mainstream, the one millions know even without hearing an album. If that face gets stained, the culture takes a hit too. Because hip-hop has always been built on loyalty, authenticity, resistance. And if the world's biggest hip-hop face looks compromised, it shakes the story the culture's been telling for decades. D.L. knows that. That's why he went so hard. To him, this wasn't just about Snoop. It was a warning shot to every artist, every celebrity. If you turn your back on your people just to sit closer to power, don't expect the culture to stay quiet. The silence is breaking, and the conversation is bigger than one man. It's about who hip-hop stands for when the mask comes off. But here's the flip side. Some folks argue D.L.'s being way too harsh. They say Snoop's a grown man who's been running the game for 3 decades.
When did you first meet Snoop?
First time I met Snoop, he was doing a release party for Doggy Style on a boat. I quickly said, what's up to Snoop? Got off that yacht because I knew it was going to be lit before it left the dock. I'm like, man, I'm not getting in the water with Death Row.
If he wants to hit a stage, that's his right. And sure, technically, they're not wrong. But culture isn't about contracts, it's about meaning. Snoop's move didn't feel like a business gig. It felt symbolic. It sent the message, I'll stand next to anybody if the bag is big enough. That's why the backlash exploded so fast. His defenders point to his grind, cartoons, video games, beer commercials, global brand deals. To them, Snoop's bigger than politics, bigger than beef. But D.L. cut straight to the truth. You can't transcend accountability. Because if your whole brand was built on standing against something, you can't flip sides and cash in without facing the heat. That's why the Fed rat label stuck like glue. DL wasn't literally saying Snoop works for the feds. He was saying is moving like somebody who switched sides. Somebody who once stood with the people, but now looks too comfortable standing with the forces he once fought. And in street terms, that's rap behavior. It screams betrayal. The danger for Snoop is once labels like that attach, they don't just fade. They follow you. Every deal, every interview, every new move gets side-eyed. Is this real, or just another flip for a check? Credibility cracks don't glue back together. That's how legacies get rewritten. And DL knows how to stir a narrative. He's not some random internet troll. He's a comedian with a platform, a voice that's been part of the culture for decades. When he speaks, people listen. That's why Snoop can't just shrug this one off. He either doubles down and says he doesn't care, or he has to face the storm head-on and try to repair it with his people. What's crazy is how fast this drama has spiraled. First, Snoop got dragged for performing at Trump's event. Then he got slammed for flipping the blame onto his own community. And now, he's carrying DL's FedRat stamp. That's 3 heavy blows back-to-back, all in a matter of weeks. That's how ruthless the internet is now. Reputations crumble in days, not years. And the fans? They're eating it up. Every meme, every old clip, every recycled quote keeps the fire burning hotter. People love watching giants stumble. It makes them feel like nobody's untouchable. But for Snoop, this isn't just gossip, it's legacy. The big question is, when it's all said and done, how will people remember him? As the dog father who stayed loyal, or the icon who flipped when pressure and money collided? Will he be remembered as a symbol of authenticity, or the figure DL framed as moving like a rat when it mattered most? DL's not letting it go. He's doubling down, repeating his shots, making sure the stain sticks. And Snoop? So far, silence. Maybe is ignoring it. Maybe is plotting his response. But silence has its own risks, because in the court of public opinion, the loudest voice often wins. So the tension keeps building. Does Snoop finally speak up, defend himself, maybe even admit he slipped? Or does he ride it out, betting the internet's short memory will move on? Meanwhile, DL keeps pressing, keeping Snoop's name in the fire. Either way, the damage is already done. The seed is planted. Even if the internet shifts to the next scandal, the whispers will follow. Because once somebody slaps that rat label on you, it never fully washes off. That's the real tragedy here. Snoop, the man who built a career on loyalty and staying true to the code, is suddenly being looked at sideways by the very people who swore he could do no wrong. It's a heavy twist for someone who came up through death row, survived beefs, courtroom battles, and street wars, and still walked out untouchable. Back then, Snoop wasn't just a rapper. He was proof you could make it out, stand tall, and never compromise. But now, fans are starting to wonder if the man they idolize as a dog father has turned into something else entirely. Less brother of the culture, more brand in the spotlight. And that's the question haunting the whole debate. Is Snoop still the legend who stood for the streets, or has he become a symbol of what happens when icons evolve into corporations? That shift hurts because hip-hop has always treated Snoop like the cool uncle of the game. Funny, smooth, but still street-certified. And here's the deepest thing. This controversy hit when Snoop's mainstream shine has never been brighter. He's a household name, pushing products, hosting TV, cracking jokes on sport broadcasts, stacking commercials left and right. Corporate America eats it up. But the streets that crowned him, they are starting to watch with suspicion. And hip-hop doesn't measure legends by brand deals. It measures them by whether people still believe your word means something. The wild part is how fast the narrative flipped. One performance and one clapback from D.L. Hughley suddenly dragged Snoop's entire legacy into question. That shows how fragile trust is in the internet age. You can spend 30 years building loyalty, but one viral moment makes fans rethink everything they thought they knew about you. Even if Snoop keeps winning on paper, that shadow hangs over him now. The question is, when people look at him, do they see the dog father of authenticity, or a legend who bent when it mattered most? And that's a sting, not from a diss track, not from a rap beef, but from choices that look like betrayal. Choices that made him seem closer to power than to the people who built him. That cuts deep because it's not about music, it's about the bond between artists and culture. For decades, Snoop was a picture of loyalty, West Coast royalty who could flex mainstream without losing street love. But today, fans are asking the hard question, did he finally cross the line? Some say this is just growth. That Snoop has outgrown street codes, is a global entertainer now, bigger than politics or rap rules. Others say that once you blur the line, once you look like you sold out, your credibility never feels the same again. That's the crossroads Snoop stands at. And the longer he stays quiet, the louder the conversation grows. DL's Fed Rat stamp didn't just land. It spread. The culture is watching closely, and they don't forget fast. At the end of the day, the verdict isn't his to write, it's the fans. What do you think? Did Snoop betray the culture, or is this just the internet amplifying noise into a storm? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're rocking with these breakdowns, hit that like, share, and subscribe, and smash the notification bell so you don't miss the next update. Because trust me, the drama waiting in the next video is just as wild.